Level 2 of storytelling means explaining what we do to anyone. We have seen that we could tell a story immediately, like in a movie or a book, or we can craft stories on top of that, on top of what we've done as a project leader, on top of what we've done and what we can carry forward as a communication officer. This chapter will dig into explaining what we do to anyone, so no matter if you're talking to your spouse, to your kids, or to a journalist, you can retell the story of your project in less than 3 minutes. And we are now into the core topic of this entire module, Level 2 storytelling, which is explaining what we do to anyone, ideally in less than 3 minutes. The main questions we always have to remember when we do a project are these ones. What does a project solve? What is the problem we were trying to solve thanks to this amazing amount of energy we've invested in doing a project? And who are we helping with it? Because this is always for people. No matter if you're actually building a huge infrastructural project, this is still solving a problem for people. And how do we actually help them? This is what you're trying to describe when you're describing your project. What was the solution we brought to solve that problem? If you can do that in less than a minute, you're already great. It means you understand the project you're working on. And I have to admit that most people won't be able to do that when first exposed to that model. We will go at length about all the small activities we do, but if you remember the introduction of that module, when I talked about our scientist who wanted to explain every single details of the beacon he has put on the sea, we didn't know what was the problem at first. And the problem was simple. The problem was that there are so many streams of water, currents, and moving so fast in this region that if you can't anticipate where someone will end up in 20 or 25 minutes from there, this person will drown, this person will die. So we are saving lives. We are saving the biodiversity of the shores, for instance, if there is an oil spill. So what does a project solve is always the main answer we have to provide at the very beginning. In fact, there is a pretty amazing structure that we can already use. It's not the most complete structure, but this is the first one we need to go through in order to see if we understand ourselves the project. And this is called an elevator pitch. It's called an elevator pitch because the stories goes that if you're meeting an investor while riding the elevator, you need to pitch him your project in less than 30 seconds or less than a minute if you're going to the 20th floor. And an elevator pitch is very useful for startups who are looking for investment, but for ourselves, just to create, for instance, the about page of our website. We want to capture the attention of people because we are solving a big problem. So the structure goes that way. Our problem is that these particular people, they do something or they do not do something, and we need to correct that. So our problem is that these people do not pay attention about recycling their garbage. That could be a problem. So our project called Recycling Garbage, which is a series of workshops to help them understand the ease it is to recycle and the benefits for the entire planet, help them suddenly be aware that this problem exists, find concrete steps to solve the problem at their personal level so that they can participate to the global movement. So the structure, our problem is that people do something or do not do something. So our project called, whatever the name of the project, which is and what is it concretely? Is it a series of workshops? Is it a website? Is it a marketing campaign? Is it an infrastructural project? Is it a lobbying activity to push politicians to do something else? This is the category solution. Help our people solve their problem. And this is probably the most used structure of storytelling in level 2, where very concretely and very shortly you manage to explain what the project does. But as you understood, you want to know what the problem was in the first place so that the project solved it. Let's watch a case study from one brand you probably know, Pepsi, and see how they propose a storytelling structure, this level 2 storytelling, about a project they've been running in Philippines. So let's watch it and then we will comment it afterwards.
light.
Ang mga puno ay nag-iiyakan sa gabi, mahirap makabili ng petrolyo.
Ngayon, unti-unti ko na mayroon ng hope sa dami nung tumutulong sa amin, and then the light, the scam, andito na po. Hawak-hawak ko na po.
That's a pretty amazing project. But I would like you to think for a second. Do you think it was a big project? So Pepsi helped probably 1,000 people in the Philippines, in this particular village, it's actually a city, to gain access to light when there was no electricity. Okay, so they used these Pepsi bottles and placed a small solar panel, put it in the roof of the house so that the light could enter this particular dark room where people usually live in Philippines, and then store some sort of energy for the night as well. Do you think it was a big project? Think about it. 1,000 people helped with a bottle called a bottle of light. I don't think it was a big project. To be honest, I think it was a pretty small project. But the way Pepsi talks about it, it looks amazing. And you have to relate a little bit what Pepsi does on a global scale and what the European Union does on a global scale. Pepsi, they earn about $65 billion a year by selling water with sugar and potato chips. This is their business. With the same amount of money in the European Union, we are providing solidarity via EU projects, this is what the cohesion policy does, to millions of people. We are much bigger. We do things amazingly well. The problem is that no one knows it because we can't tell the story as well as Pepsi. And up until you follow this module, I'm pretty sure you were struggling telling your stories. You were not sure where to start. The problem and the way it is exposed by Pepsi follows these lines. So our problem is that people affected by the typhoon in Philippines who had been cut down from electricity did not have light in their houses, whether it was a day or night, and they could not work or study properly. That was the problem. So our project called Bottles of Light, which is a series of workshops to build solar lamps with recycled Pepsi bottles, helped them get access to a fast and cost-efficient solution to add a source of light in their home so that they can overcome the problem of not having electricity until the network is repaired and continue their daily activities in the meantime. This is the elevator pitch, the structure of what you've just seen. And if I was to tell that particular story in less than a minute to someone without the video, they would immediately understand what I mean. This comes down to our mission as communication officers. And our mission is simple. We communicate about EU projects so that people who face a specific problem know there is a solution and are motivated to use that solution. We are helping projects to attract customers. This is the first thing we do as communication officers. We have an amazing project, we need people to come to that project and use the solution we've put in place. If that mission is well done, if we attracted enough customers, if we solve the problem for a lot of people, then managing authorities can tell it to other people, such as policymakers, such as journalists, or other potential project leaders who might come with even better solutions at one point. In fact, talking about the best projects to sell the European Union action to other storytellers or doers is what is the second level of our job. Attracting customers first, and then reselling what we've done in the form of a case study such as this video, or an amazing website that retell the story of our project, or many other tools of communication. We are not telling stories only to attract customers. This is what I really want you to understand. We are telling stories so that we can motivate an amazing amount of other storytellers to bring that project to light to as many people as possible. This is where we start to expose what we've done to a lot of people. So let's dig into the mechanics of that. You understand the level 1 of storytelling, you understand the level 2 of storytelling, what makes it different. Now let's dig into how to build the best possible level 2 story. In this chapter we covered a number of concepts, and I believe we have a very clear idea of what our mission is as communication officer. During the life of a project, our mission is simple. We need to attract as many users as possible. I talk about customers because this is the reality of it, and make them really join our solution, participate, and do something with us, benefit of that solution. But once we've done that, the second part of our mission is to retell the story of the entire project so that it can survive once it is done. It can be carried forward by other people, other storytellers, and very much disseminate in the entire Europe and possibly in the world. So I believe we have a clear picture of our mission, and we now can go on to the tools themselves.